Welcome back, man.
Yeah, it's been a while.
As it's been a couple weeks. You've been busy. I've been busy. What you been up to?
Well, a lot of baseball. Kind of
Yep.
finishing up our season down at Belmont Abbey. We had our conference
Yep.
tournament this past week. Played, I think it was 6 or 7 games in the same amount of days.
I think it was less than that. Less days.
Let's see. We played one Wednesday, one Thursday, one Friday, none Saturday, and then we played 2 Sunday, one Monday. So we played six
Yeah.
games in 6 days.
I was gone too. I went back to California to see some family and my girlfriend. So,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah, how was that?
it was great.
Yeah.
We it was good to see them. She'll be here in 6 days. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
But definitely want to be more structured with our time and make sure we're more consistent with it because I enjoy doing this and I
Mm-hmm.
want to make it something we do more consistently. So
Agreed.
yeah.
Agreed.
Well, I'm Jack. This is Zach coming to you from Lake Norman. Welcome to episode 4 of the Doc Days podcast. Let's dive into our lives one episode at a time. So, first thing that we wanted to talk about today was kind of the new direction of the podcast. It's not necessarily a new direction, I would say, but we kind of have found our direction. We decided we wanted to get into it and talk to each other, get together once a week so we can spend more time together. But if you want to fill in, kind of what the true direction we're taking with
Yeah,
this.
so we want to pick around 4 topics per episode that we want to hit, and we want to really kind of deep dive into them and be more, not unfiltered, but more exposed, like expose ourselves and
Yeah.
tell the honest truth in all
Yep.
aspects. We both watched Diary of a CEO, obviously. For those of you who haven't watched it, awesome podcast.
Hmm.
My favorite podcast to listen to right now.
That's where we got kind of a lot of the
Yeah.
principles for what we want to approach the podcast with
Yeah, so
from.
the structure of our podcast is gonna follow a very similar structure to what he's doing over on Diary of a CEO.
Yeah. Yeah. One note I put was how I want it to be overly personal. Like, I want to be so honest that it makes me question, like, man, should I really be telling people this? And I think because the whole goal for me in everything that I'm doing is I want to help people.
Yeah,
I want to touch people because I'm no Einstein,
no,
but I think that I do have experience in. I'm only 22 years old and I have so much to go, but I think I do have people that I could help. That are maybe just getting out of high school, um, or just kind of need some help with direction in life and maybe some advice. And a lot of the things that I say and the advice that I have are from a cultivation of hundreds and hundreds of hours of reading and listening to podcasts and just pulling the things that I like.
Mhm.
And I'm going to kind of create my own advice and my own um, personal opinions about what is important in life. And I just kind of want to touch on those through the podcast. So,
yeah, and jumping into that and like talking about something that helping people get through a certain point in their lives or like finding those next steps. I wanted to talk about the past couple days what I've been dealing with, where got our season ended in the conference championship, and you know a lot of times I know a lot of athletes can relate to this, but your season ends and you get this feeling of, well, now what?
yeah,
And I think it happens with athletes. It happens if you get fired from your job or you quit your job and you're not going somewhere else right, like immediately out the gate. I feel like a lot of people can fall into that pitfall of like trying to figure out what to do with their lives. I know for me, especially, like I went from practicing every single day, showing up to the field every single day for multiple hours a day, being with the same group of people, to now not doing that.
what is that exact moment like? Because you and I both experienced
Mm-hmm.
it multiple times when that last out is made and the season's over.
Oh man, it was
What's
heart.
that
It
feeling like?
was absolutely heart wrenching. I mean, it is just like it. You almost feel like it can't possibly be true. It feels like you're about to wake up from a dream.
Mhm.
Especially, we were in a position where we had a play-in game into this tournament. Like
You guys were one
we
of the bottom dogs.
we were like bottom of the barrel of
Yeah,
this tournament, and we grinded our way into the championship. I mean, we upset a lot of teams to get there,
you did.
and to have it end like that and just, your season's over. It was really heart-wrenching, especially because there's, a handful of guys, a lot of those seniors that aren't coming back next year. It's like, may never see him again.
One thing I want to add on that is I think that a lot of people can relate to this. It's a very interesting concept to grasp that when you spend every day with somebody or a group of people, one day will come where you won't ever see those people again.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very hard thing for, like, it's hard for me. I think it's hard for humans to grasp that concept that you can spend every day with people, and one day will come where you may never see those people ever again.
Yeah,
And that's what has happened with a lot of people on the baseball teams I've been on, and I'll never see those people again.
yeah.
And it's just very interesting it's an interesting concept that we come across so many people in life, and then just one moment happens and you
Yeah.
never see them. They could be a huge part of your life, and then you never
I
see
was
them again.
just about to say, it's crazy how they can be they can leave such an impact on your life in that moment, and then all of a sudden you never see them again.
Yeah.
You may not even talk to them again.
Yeah.
I can think of plenty of guys that either I've played with or we both played with, where it's like I used to talk to them every single day, and I haven't heard from them since.
Yeah.
Or like, I mean, not that I've reached out to them either.
No, for sure.
It's just like, they come and go, like people just come and go in your life, and it's a very natural thing that
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have a really hard time coming to terms with.
A point I wanted to hit on that I kind of guess ties into that is I was looking back on I have this journal that I've had probably for a few years, and periodically I've had gone through times where whenever I would come up with a opinion that I have about life, or just an epiphany, I guess you could call it, I write it down. And one thing I was looking at was I wrote down, we always look back at a time in life and think, wow, those were the good old days. And it made me realize that every time I pass a chapter, I look back and say, man, those were the good old days. So that means that you're always in the good old days. There are pieces of your life right now that you're always going to look back on and be like, man, I miss it. So you got to find a way to, no matter how hard things are, no matter how hard things are, in my opinion, you have to find a way to find enjoyment out of it.
You know something
Yeah.
crazy? I actually don't get like that.
You don't look back like that?
Not like they're the good old days. Like I feel like the life I'm living right now is the absolute best version of my life. And I think that my good old days are yet to come because of everything that I'm doing.
Yes, but do you not look back on times in your life and be like, man, that was fun?
Oh, for sure, I think it's fun, but I don't.
And there's a piece of nostalgia there that you miss those times, and things spark, maybe a song or something you see sparks those memories about that time period, and you don't think like, man, there's that feeling, that nostalgic feeling in your gut. You know what I'm talking about? Where you're like, man, I miss those days.
Kinda, but not.
Not that you would trade.
Maybe not. Yeah, I wouldn't
Not that
trade
you
it for the
trade it.
world.
My whole point of what I'm saying is, you're always in the good old days.
Yeah.
You are always in the best time of your life.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm getting at. Is like
yeah.
I feel like I'm always.
We're
doing
saying the
everything
same thing, I think,
yeah.
differently.
Yeah.
Except I used to have that problem where I would look back and I would start to miss things really badly. And it made me realize that I'm going to miss the time I'm in currently.
Yeah.
A year from now. So just enjoy the time that you're in.
I think there's one place that manifests the most for me. It's in relationships.
Uh-huh.
I was having this conversation with my buddy's girlfriend yesterday because she asked me and one other guy who were both single. She goes, "Don't you like being single though? Like, isn't being single fun?" And we were just like, "No, it sucks." Like, yeah, are there parts of being single that are cool? Sure, but it pales in comparison to having your person that you get to show up for every single day and just be there for them. Like, I would kill for that. I would trade everything I have right now to have that.
You would kill for that right now. I would argue that a lot of people, and this is just human nature, right? The longer you're stuck in a certain status, now by status I mean single or taken or in a relationship, the more you start to miss the other thing.
Oh, 100%. The grass. I mean,
And that's what,
yeah, the
but
grass is always
the
greener on
grass is
the other
always green on the other
side.
side, right? That's what we think, but it's not.
Yeah, the grass is
So
green where you water
the
it.
grass is green where you water it. So, but the only thing I'm saying is this is kind of all along the same concept of enjoy the moment and don't look in the past and be and miss something, and don't look in the future and be too greedy about like, can something be better?
Yeah, happy.
Because yeah,
There, I can't remember who said it, but someone talks about happiness is in the present. Like
the
you don't find happy. You find I don't remember what they say.
no,
They say something
I
about the
know exactly what you're
past.
talking about. It's if you worry about the past too much, you're gonna be depressed. If you think about the future too much, you're gonna be anxious. If you live in the present, you will be at peace.
Yes, that is
Yep,
the exact quote I was thinking of.
it's true. It's
100%
very
is
true.
true.
And along the same lines, one thing I wanted to talk about as well is enjoy the struggles, because I still work at 131 Main, the
Mhm.
restaurant, and I catch myself so anxious to get out of there. Now that's because I'm spending 35 hours a week there, and basically every other waking hour, you know, I go to the gym, I do my things, but my other waking hours, I'm working, trying to develop my other business, my real estate business. I'm trying to, have other ideas that I'm trying to develop along with it, right? So I find myself just dying to get out of the restaurant, dying to like stop serving, dying to get. But I caught myself and I decided, instead of doing that, I'm going to show up every day to work and apply my principles that I say I believe in life, and that's to make a difference and to help others. And I realized I have the ability, because of where I work, to make somebody's day every day. And if I make somebody's day every single day, that makes me happy.
Mhm.
That's way more important than the, you know, very, depending on how much money, it doesn't matter every day at the restaurant. But to me, like making somebody's day every day is more valuable than the money.
Yeah, and the cool thing about that is that when you apply that mindset, the money will take care of
It
itself.
does. It does take care of itself. And so I just, the reason I thought of all these things was because I realized I was so focused on getting out of the restaurant that I realized I'm going to miss that place when I leave it.
Oh,
Whenever
100%.
the day comes that I leave it, I'm going to miss it.
Yeah, the same way I miss working at the bar that I was at, even though, I really didn't really like, I mean, I loved working there.
Yeah.
I hated getting home at 4 in the morning,
Yep.
and it made me miserable. I was losing weight, but I I miss the people at the bar. I miss working there. I'm like, as stupid as it sounds, I miss slinging drinks. It was
For
fun.
sure. Um, One more note that I really wanted to hit on for today um, is something that I used to call this thing every morning. It's called the Success Hotline. We used to talk about that before.
Mhm.
Um, Shout out Mr. Volker. Zach Volker is the one that put me onto that. And that was back when I was really struggling mentally with baseball stuff. And the Success Hotline, basically, I gotta find the number. I can't remember. Um, this man has been doing it for years and years. Every morning he leaves a message. You can call this phone number and he leaves a message that the message will play when you call the number. And it's basically motivation for the day and just advice about life. And I used to write them down every morning in that same journal. And one of the ones that he had said was, are you willing to give up what you want now for what you want most? Are you willing to give up what you want now for what you want most? And I think it's pretty self explanatory, but what it means is, let me just give an example. Somebody who is trying to lose weight and just look better. They say they really, they're getting in the gym. They really want to be shredded, have a good body, but somebody offers them a piece of cheesecake and they've hit their calorie limit for the day. And if they eat that cheesecake, they're going to go over and they're going to set themselves back. So the question is, in that moment, right now, you want that piece of cheesecake, but what you want most is to have a good body and be shredded. So are you willing to give up what you want now, that piece of cheesecake, and compound it over time for what you want most, and that's to have a good body and be fit? And that right there applies to everything that you want to achieve. 100% that applies to everything you want to achieve.
I feel like that applies a lot to the epiphany that I had with my baseball career lately or recently. For the longest time, I had this dream of playing professional baseball, and I tried to do a lot of different stuff to get there, and I was putting in a lot of work. And one day, I woke up. It was over the course of this past season. It may have been 2.5, 3 months ago, like right a little bit before we started this podcast.
Yeah.
And I woke up one day, and I just remember laying in bed, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, I don't want to put in the level of effort that it's going to take for me to be a professional baseball player. Because the reality is, I need to weigh X amount of pounds. I need to throw X amount of miles an hour harder. I need to throw this percentage more strikes and be able to put the ball wherever I want when I'm pitching. And I was like, and I just thought about everything I needed to do to make that happen. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And it was like, you talk about what you want most, and it was like, and I was like, well, what do I want more than that? Like, what do I want out of life? I want to live. Like my first and foremost thing is I want to be able to help people, and I want to be able to afford the lifestyle that I want to live. And there were other avenues that I could explore that would fit those needs with energy and things that I actually desired to do that wasn't baseball. And I had never even thought about this before. And it was like that same week that I went and started my business. Like literally that same week, I went and talked to my buddy who he had been pitching this business idea to me. And I said, all right, let's do it. It was like, to me, the idea of building companies and building businesses and, doing these things to help other people solve their problems was way more exciting and interesting to me and fulfills my personal needs more than being a professional baseball player ever could.
Yeah. And that goes along the lines of your dad taught me this. Um, Creating a good life for yourself is about putting energy and effort into things that you value. A lot of people who think that they value wealth
Mm-hmm.
spend all this time developing to get rich. And then once they get rich, they're completely unhappy. And it's because we lose sight of what we value. And this is something that to all my friends and everybody that I love, I've been using this quite a bit and actually been, um, I won't mention any names or scenarios, but been helping people that I care about completely change their direction and realize why they were so unhappy. Just because it's my advice that I was given and that I'm applying to my own life. And it's that you have to come up with the things that you value and then realize, are you putting more effort into those things than into others? And it's really quite simple to come up with what you value, because I think about it this way. If you told me that I could have 10 cars and all the nicest houses that I want, and I could buy all the go eat wherever I want, have the clothes I want, have the watches I want, but I don't get to be with my girlfriend that I'm with, I would tell you I don't want those things.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me that I value my relationship with my girlfriend basically above all else,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I know she's my number one value. Her and family, kind of the same
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
Because would I let my dad die to get all the things I want? Absolutely not.
No chance.
So then I know for sure my family and my girlfriend are my number one value in life. And then you go backwards from there. You think, okay, what do I care about more? Do I care about being able to do what I want throughout the day, or do I care about having 10 cars? Because if I care about being able to do what I want every day, then I care about financial freedom more than wealth. And they're two different things for sure. So what I do is, and I know one of my top 5 values is philanthropy, helping. And I know that that's what I want to do. So if I'm putting effort and energy into helping people, then I know I'll be happy, right? So that's just a piece of advice that, if anybody out there, I just want to help. I love talking to people and talking them through things and helping them realize the issues they have, and nothing means more to me than somebody coming to me and being like, Jack, what do I do? You know, because like I said, I'm no motivational speaker. I'm no, philosopher, but I have listened and read quite a bit of things and have cultivated, like I said earlier in the beginning of the podcast, a lot of opinions and ideas about life that I would love to share. And I have my opinions, and if you don't agree with them, that is totally fine. I'm not going to dislike you if you agree with my opinions, but I have mine, and nobody's going to change those except me.
Hmm.
You know? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all I got
I'm
for
very
it.
similar in that way where I get a lot of satisfaction and pride out of helping people. Not necessarily pride, but enjoyment. I love when people come to me, whether it's in baseball or just life in general, where it's like, I have this problem. Can you please help me solve it? I love, being in a position where I can help people.
Mhm.
Have you ever met somebody who you wanted to help but wouldn't let help you?
Oh yeah,
Or like you tried to help them and they would reject your whatever you were trying to tell them? They'd be like, you don't know better than me or this, that,
absolutely,
and the other.
100%.
How frustrating is that for you?
Honestly, not at all, because I've experienced people that are willing to let me help, and I never tell anybody what to do. I just give them. I'm sitting here saying like I run like a, uh, advice business. I've
No,
only helped like a few
no, you just
people.
help your
I'm so
friends.
young, but what I do is I just talk them through it, and I help them realize themselves what it is they want.
Hmm.
But if I try to give somebody advice that doesn't want it, I'm not even going to tell them go screw you. Okay, fine. I'm not going to help you anymore.
Yeah.
If you don't want my help, you don't want my help. That's
Yeah.
fine. I'm not going to get frustrated. I just know that there are people that are willing to listen and talk through it with me. So I'm going to put my energy towards those people, excuse me, and not towards the people that don't want it. Because why would I waste my time?
Yeah. I had an experience with a kid I played with this year. He was a freshman where he reminded me a lot of myself and some things that I would do. I think he did them worse than I did, but I mean, he was very similar to how it was my freshman year, where everything had to be his way, and he thought he deserved all these things when he hadn't really earned them, and it was just like, he took a lot of stuff personally. Like anything that someone said to him, he took it as a personal attack on him, and it made it like really hard to be around him,
Yeah.
and it sucked too because it's like, there's a good kid hiding in there somewhere, but it was just really hard to get along with him because anything you said, all of a sudden it got personal.
Well, you can't help everybody.
No, you can't help everything, and that was something
And
I finally
yeah,
realized towards the end of the year. I was like, I can't help you.
no,
I told him, I said, I can. I had talked to him a handful of times, and I would be like, look, like this is the behavior that you're doing, and this is what it's gonna get you.
yeah.
And he'd just be like, screw you, you don't know my story. And I finally, like, after multiple attempts of me being like trying to reason with him, I finally just like, I can't get you to hear the message until you want to hear it. And it breaks my heart that I can't get you to hear it, but I can't make you see it until you see it for yourself.
And that's just the way it
And that's
is.
and yeah, that's just the way it goes.
And one more thing I want to say. Again, I won't name drop anybody, but um, I had a conversation with an old teammate who called me. He was a freshman when I was a junior, and
Was this when we were at Delta?
yeah, and he was just like all the other freshmen. Thought everything was a joke. Blah blah blah, and then would kind of get a bit annoyed at times. And he won't mind me saying this. He would get annoyed at times when people would try to tell him what to do, just because everybody was trying to help him.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a phone call with this guy the other day, and he literally was like, "Now I understand." And so my message with this is, if you're young, don't be too hard on yourself in trying to be perfect.
Oh
It
God.
takes time to develop your mindset, and it takes time to realize things, and it takes experience to realize things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't get it now, and if you're like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, one day you'll understand.
Mm-hmm.
But don't be too hard on yourself on becoming, there's so much influence now about all these strong-minded people, and they all want to be like them, so they get frustrated when they're like, man, why am I being weak? Why am I not being super on top of everything? Why am I not being super proactive? It takes time to develop,
Takes
and
years,
it's
sometimes
okay.
decades.
Just develop it, work on it, and that's all I got. um last thing I want to end on. What's one thing that you feel like you want to improve about yourself this week? What's one thing that you feel like you could work on this week?
I actually know exactly what I want to work on this week. When I have something that I want to do, the moment that it pops into my head, I want to do it.
Be more
I
proactive.
want to be way more proactive because I have such a bad habit of pushing things off. And I almost did it today. I was about this close to doing it today. I was supposed to call a doctor today to schedule an appointment to go get my back x-rayed because I'm having back problems right now.
Sure.
I'm an 80-year-old man in the
Yeah.
body of a 23-year-old.
Oh, me too.
So, I have to go get x-rays on my spine and my hips. And I looked at the phone number and said, I'll do it tomorrow. And I did it right before I took off to come home. I was at my apartment in Belmont, and then I was driving back up to Mooresville to come shoot this podcast. And I was listening to episode 18 of Diary of a CEO. I had watched the first half, and I was listening to the second half of it. And the guy was like, if you have something that you want to do it. Like, if something pops in here, like, I want to run, drop everything you're doing right now, go run around your block. Like, just do it. You don't have to do all of it. Just do it. And in that moment, I was like, you know what? He's right. I'm gonna call the doctor and schedule that appointment right now.
That's
And
awesome.
or like, I haven't registered for my classes yet because I have to pay. I have to get the stop hold off my account because I have to pay for my schooling. And I've been putting it off, and I'm gonna go home tonight and I'm gonna take care of it because it's
That's
like
awesome.
I have to do this. It's like I want to be way more proactive about what I'm doing in my life.
Mine is very much along the same lines. I want to be more organized because I'll talk about this on another episode because we're pretty much out of time. But um, I want to be more organized because I've learned that not being organized costs you a lot more money than you think. And I'm gonna write it down. I'm definitely gonna dive into that next week for sure. But I think this was a great fourth episode, and I like where we're headed with this, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be really good.
Cool. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time.
Yep. See you next time, guys.